Good evening, Facebook family and friends, YouTube family and friends. This is Sheba. I am your happy bug. And this evening, I am so excited. I know I say that every week because I'm always very excited when it comes to Talk Tuesdays. And tonight, we're talking about when little girls with daddy issues become women with daddy issues and how that affects us in our lives, our day to day lives. What effects that has on us and bearings of our relationships. And that's what we're here to talk about tonight. So thank you so much for tuning in. For those of you who are joining, and those of you who will watch this later, welcome to Talk Tuesdays. So this evening we have three ladies on, Sharisa, Chelsea, and Brianna. And tonight, I think we're gonna have some fun. It might be some sad moments in here. At least that's hope. But at least that's what we're hoping for. And the reason why I say we're hoping for it is because I feel like Talk Tuesdays help to liberate people from some of the feelings that they have and things that they assumed at some point that they were the only persons going through. And this is just kind of that moment for us to come together here on Talk Tuesdays in this platform to kind of say, hey, you're not alone. We're here together. We're gonna do this together. So welcome once again. So what's gonna happen this evening is we're gonna each go around the room and we're gonna have a chit chat about how the effects of not having, I'm not going to say not having the proper father or the issues with our fathers, how that affects us. And then based on different reactions, it'll determine how we continue on with this broadcast. So all those who are out there watching, please feel free to ask questions in the comment box. We can see that. If you have a question for one particular individual, you should be able to see their names on the bottom of the screen as the broadcast continues to go forward. And what that'll do is allow them to answer your questions based on how you ask them. So without further ado, we're going to actually get started and we're going to give the floor. I guess we'll start the floor with Chelsea. And so she'll start and then we'll go to then we'll let Sharissa go and then we'll add Brianna in at the very end of the opening. So um Chelsea, it's on you. When little girls with daddy issues become women with daddy issues, how do you feel that has affected you in your life? So the floor is yours. Can you hear me, Chelsea? I think she's frozen.
Sorry. Can you hear me? See me better now?
Yes, we could hear you.
Okay. Sorry. I don't know. My
Oh,
connection.
it's okay. It happens.
I feel like when you have father issues, I feel like because, with your father, that's when you're supposed to really see first, like, that's the man that you kind of not compare when you get in a relationship with other people, but you want to be like, okay, I want him to be like my father, like, show me love, respect. I feel like your father is the one that's supposed to introduce how the man's supposed to treat you. How you see your mother and your father grow up is how, like, if they have a good relationship, that's something you will compare and want when you get older. So I feel like it does play a big in a meals go to brotherhood and you try to find men or people in general that will help lead you along the way. As a female, if you don't have a right father figure in front of you, you know what I'm saying, a mother can raise you, but if a father's not there, you will never know true love, and it will affect you mentally, emotionally, and physically, because you want a man that's going to give you that love that you always seeked for, that you thought you needed, so
Right. Is there anything that has happened in your life that you could say has had that reflection upon you? Like what tells you that what your father has or has not done has that how that has formed you in your relationship life?
well, my father, he's a an
Okay, you
emotional.
you were freezing. Start over. You say my father.
Yeah, he's a very respectable man. You know, he is a go-getter, you know. So my father, he's more strict in a way to where, you know, he may not show you he loves you, but he does, you know, but he tells you. Growing up, my parents, they weren't as loving as, you know, they're, you know, in the past. Like as you see people growing up on TV, like, oh, I love you. You know, they weren't that much of an affection. They're more of like making sure the bills are straight in the house, you know, making sure we're being raised the way we're supposed to, you know. But because I haven't seen them like, you know, in a real like loving relationship growing up, for me, I don't know what that is. If you get what I'm saying. I feel like I don't, you know, you say you look at your parents like, okay, I want that kind of relationship. Because it was a lot of like, you know, arguing, bickering, and they're just trying to make sure that the household is taken care of. You know, growing up, it wasn't, I never really seen or got demonstration of, of that love. So, you know, I want my own fairy tale. And I feel like that kind of played a big role, you know, because my father, he was my best friend growing up. Um, yeah. And yeah, you know, I'm not really, I don't really like opening up in front of people. This is, I don't know how much people are watching this right now, but this is
No,
a
maybe
lot.
like two people. It's not a lot. It's just us really. And in this setting it's us because what us me streaming might not always be that people are watching right now. The stream is that people will maybe watch later. So I know that you're a little bit braced. So I'll try not to be too abrasive to get in too much of a close space. Okay. Um, but you can feel more free than I think you probably feel right now. It's okay. Because what happens is I think a lot of times people really do feel alone in a lot of things that happens around them. And when we share our stories, a lot of times it kind of helps to liberate others. So we'll come back to you a little bit after we get through with speaking to Risa and also speaking with Brianna. And I want to ask you another question. What
Mhm.
does love really look like if you feel your parents didn't share that with each other? The reason why I asked you that is because a lot of times we do see what we think is love because it's different than what we've experienced. When we look at the Cosby Show, and we look at, I can't even think of that many shows that actually show cultured people actually sharing love in that manner. So where marriages are really just more of the business to life anyway.
Yeah.
I think a lot of times people look for love in marriage instead of having love and then marrying, because marriage is to protect those assets. So a lot of times when we do start having children, you don't have any children, correct?
I have puppies. They're my children.
Those aren't children. But I understand.
They're my
You
two.
have you have fur children. I respect it.
I have two. A boy and a girl. Preferably they're 7 and 8.
So what happens? Sorry. You fucked me up with that one. I wasn't expecting that. So what happens is when you start having children and you've married and that the love is not necessarily what your goal was, now you have to structure your life for those children. Because hopefully what you're teaching them is what you want them to go about in life. And a
Yeah.
lot of times I think as parents, we kind of lose that. We forget that there's more to life than just the bills in it. And there are feelings to life in the way that we deal with people, because our relationship with our parents reflects on how we have our relationships with our friends. Because it develops all sorts of relationships. So we'll get back to that a little bit later. I thought that was really good opening. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Teresa. That's Sharisa. What's up, Risa?
I'm gonna mute myself.
Okay.
Hi. Well,
What'd you say, Risa?
I can't hear. No, I was just saying hi to everybody.
I didn't hear you.
That's
What'd you
Brianna,
say?
Sheba. No, I was just saying hi to everybody.
Oh, hey. So, what's your take on the topic? Let's get down. Let's get down in there with Sharisa.
What's the question? Sorry.
When little girls with daddy issues become women with daddy issues, that's the
Okay.
question. How has that
Um,
affected you in your life?
Okay, so I'm gonna kind of like give you a little summary of what happened with me when I was growing up. So when I was growing up, my father was there until I believe I want to say I was like 5 or 6, and then he left and he went to the States because I'm not originally from the States. I'm from the Virgin Islands, and he would still like send stuff for my birthday and Christmas and Easter and whatever holidays, but we didn't see each other anymore. He would just like communicate through the phone or through packages or whatever.
Mhm.
And when by the time he left, from what I've heard, my mom and him had already separated. They were not dealing with each other anymore.
Mhm.
And because my mother moved on with her life, basically, because at that point he had already moved on with his life. My mom moved on with her life too. She had another child, and basically after that happened, he stopped communicating with me, stopped sending stuff. It was just like I didn't hear from him anymore. So
Right.
I want to say when I was around 17 years old, we were living in Florida at the time. My mother basically forced me to go see him because he lives in Maryland.
Uh-huh.
And it was just really weird. It's like, I don't know, it's weird. But how has it affected me as an adult? I feel like I had to learn everything the hard way. Instead of, like growing up, you have your father to tell you what's your word and
Take your time.
I don't want to cry, but what's your
It's
word
okay.
and how a man is supposed to treat you and how you're supposed to pick a man and stuff like that. I never got to sit down and talk about that. I basically had to learn everything the hard way. So I want to say it's affected me negatively. I feel like if I ever get married in my life, my father's not going to be there. When I do decide to have children, my father's not going to be there either. In my relationships also, I tend to not trust men because of the experience I've had with my father.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. To be completely honest, I feel like it's been really hard not having my father around.
Mm-hmm.
But then I'm more of an emotional person too, so maybe it's just me and my perspective that's making it harder for me. I don't know.
Well, thought process is everything, Sharisa, and it's okay that that's how you see it because those are your feelings and that's how it has affected you. And it's okay that people know that that's how you feel. I think a lot of times as people, we're always trying to live up to what other people think is necessary. So a lot of times we do kind of lose that in the process, trying to deal with things the way we see other people deal with them, because that's just their perspective. That has nothing to do with you. So if that's how you feel, it's totally okay, and it's totally okay to say it, and it's totally okay to see it. I don't know. Do you mind if I share the story that my first story about you?
No.
So, Sharisa and I was working at this crazy company together. Okay,
Yeah.
that's enough to say about the ass. And so we're in the training room, and the training room is set up in like a open rectangle. So I'm sitting like closer to the door, like one of the first 2 seats. Sharice's sitting at like an angle behind me on the other side. She's sitting next to this chatty girl. Girl talk all the goddamn time. carrying on about shit you know ain't true, but whatever. That's another story, right? So I hear Sharissa every day, and in my mind, I just ain't gonna like this girl. And I just like, Yahweh, I don't know. I'm gonna have a hard time liking this child right here. I knew she was younger than me. I just didn't know that she was that much younger than me. So I was like, damn, this girl right here, boy, it was a battle not getting her ass some days. And then one day we got on Talk This of Daddies. And Sharissa said, I don't fuck that nigga. I don't like my daddy. Something to that effect, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sharissa?
Yeah.
She said, I don't like it. I hate him. That's what she said. I hate him. I said, you don't hate him. That's your coping mechanism. You just dealing with that right now. Sharissa said, yeah, he wasn't never there so long. And before you know it, there goes the tears.
The water bag.
I knew they were in there. It's just, as long as she was talking to the girl who tells herself a lot of lies, they could be on the same page with all the lies that they were sharing almost with each other, with those feelings. And that comes from us bottling up so many of our emotions. And everybody in the classroom looking like, oh my God, she's crying. Get her some tissue. So I said, let her cry. She need to get it out. Because a lot of times we bottle and we come across like we're rough and we're angry and we're mad, but it's really just hurt and a little bit of pain, which is okay. But we have been taught not to be like that. So you're saying that Brianna's that way? Chelsea, you're saying that Brianna's that way?
Yeah.
Yeah. So so it happens, and I think it's really okay. But we'll talk about that along, throughout the broadcast tonight, because that's where a lot of us are. Like for me, I didn't have daddy issues per se, but my Abba passed when I was a young girl, and I still, like right now, I still quote some of the things that he would say, because that was the effect that he had on me. So imagine how much better of a person I would have been had he lived.
Mm-hmm.
Right? But sometimes, because the other young lady that pulled back on us tonight, respectfully, her dad was a dad who was presently fucked up. So an absent father who you think you need knows he's fucked up. It's better for him to be absent than to be present and be fucked up, because you're going to withstand so much more pain. Because now, instead of why he don't want me, it'll be why he treated me that way. Mm-hmm. So now his absence is just a pain. But if he was near, his abuse would have been so much more treacherous to your person. Mm-hmm. So you might count it more as a blessing and more as a favor that was given to you through his absence. Mm-hmm. Because if you feel this way for him not being there, he's probably better off where he's at. Because he might really be a fucked up fella, but you will never know. And sometimes it's good to be never know than to know and then be fucked up because he was so abusive. Yeah. So let me give you a little bit of, another part of another story. The daddy's there, but he always talking bad about the daughter because he can't stand the mama halfway. He talks reckless and he says reckless things. Now the daughters are growing up seeing that that's not how they want it. So now they spend the rest of their lives trying not to find that father in their mate, rather than looking for a mate that you don't know you're looking for. You're probably going to be better off because now your slate is clean. You don't have any bad to compare it to. And I don't know if that makes sense, but it should give you something to think about. So we're going to talk to you a little bit more along the broadcast, but we're going to go along and talk to Brianna and let us share a piece of her story. Well, I'll look at her. They all dolled up. Oh, I'm scared of it. Hi, Brianna.
Okay. What were you asking?
So when little girls with daddy issues become women with daddy issues, how has that affected you in your life?
Me personally, I don't think it's affecting me that much. I'm just the way that I am. Let me see. Oh, I give tough love. I do that, and I act like my father. Now that I see, me and him never used to get along when I was younger.
Let's talk about that. Let's talk about that.
Okay.
Because it affected you. You have learned to cover it.
Oh yeah, that's what my
definitely built some walls around. That's why you said it. It hasn't affected me. That's why you said it. So let's talk. Well, as much as you're willing to be free about, because I know it's a touchy subject.
Oh no, I'm open book. So let's see. Which part, like, what do you know about about him?
What do you remember most that you wish that you could change? That you think right now today it would have affected you and your dealings with others based on how your father treated or dealt with you?
If he never gave me probably tough love, because out of all of us, I think I received the most tough love. And tough love is in the way he came off, but that's just how I think that's how he is regardless. So instead of saying like, oh, that's a good job, it would be like, you could do better. You could be the president instead of being the damn mayor, you know? Like, he's from the island, so they have a different way of showing love, I want to say, or probably the way he grew up come off differently. So yeah, but I don't know.
Do you think it's a different way of showing love, or is it just the way that they cope with things? Because I think sometimes we use the word tough love when we're really coping.
It's both, because at times they're men and we're women and we're daughters at the same time, and it's hard to be a man. That's one, especially
it's
a black.
Hard to be what?
A man. It's hard to being a man, and especially being a black man and growing up back in the days, whereas growing up now. So it's, I'm pretty sure with the outside world, being the provider, the house, the head of the household, plus trying to, the support, kids, like all of that, then it's a lot. I mean, like us now, because we're parents, me and you, I know Sharissa and Chelsea isn't, but when you're going through it with your significant other while you're kids, it's hard. So just imagine the same thing. So I don't know. I just put my shoes in everybody's perspective. But I guess if my dad loved me and treated me like the queen that I am, probably I wouldn't be so bitchy.
So how do you know? So if all you've ever known was what you were taught until you had experience with others, how did you know that wasn't what you liked? Because that's all you've ever known. So love is one of those things, and treatments are one of those things you kind of just deal with. Like I whip my children. Everybody don't agree. You shouldn't whip the children. Well, I'll deal with that shit later, because I would rather not. I would rather whoop mine and realize I don't need to whoop their ass than to think I don't need to whoop them later to need to whoop their ass. So I'd rather be one of those. So for some people,
say that one more time. I didn't catch that.
I would rather spank my children and find out that they never needed it.
Okay.
Than to not spank them and find out that they
really needed it.
Because then I never developed a fix for them. So I've been always very, very careful in my doings with that. However, I have had people in my past that because of the way that I structured my children, they want to bring their children to be structured, but they didn't raise their children like I raised my children. So to me, that was abuse. That makes sense? That to me, it became something that I didn't no longer want to do because I felt like I was abusing their children. Because you didn't raise your children the way I raised mine.
Mm-hmm.
I also have the fact that my children, I call them for everything. I don't know if y'all have parents like that. But my parents were like that. They call you for a glass of water. They sitting right next to the kitchen. It didn't matter. You got your ass up and you did it. You know?
Mm-hmm.
But to some people, that's not fair. To some people, that's abuse. Like, so my children, thank you, Navi. My children never realized that most children don't do that until someone told them that, why your mama do that to you? You understand that? So
yeah,
that's why I'm asking you, at what point did you feel that what he was giving wasn't what you thought should be love? Because something gave you that notion. People, situations, what was it?
I think like when I finally got into a relationship, like an adult, like a real relationship, and they would be like, oh, why are you hot one day, cold the minute? Or I guess like the way that I love now in relationships is how he taught me what love was, kind of, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So that put a light on it. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know. I think growing up, I used to get a lot of beatings, but that was really fun sometimes. You know, you do act out. You act out for attention. I used to do it all the time. So, like, say for instance, if I was pissed off, I'm gonna piss somebody else off. That makes sense.
Yeah.
So if I'm pissed off, I'm like, okay, I know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna get a tattoo, and I'm gonna be like, I got this tattoo, Mom. Oh, she gonna be pissed off. My daddy gonna wood me, and I'm gonna be like, okay, and I still got the tattoo, you know. So I don't know.
That's crazy.
Because that was the way she was. That was the way she was seeking attention.
Yeah.
So that was her coping mechanism. That was her cope.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of times, like probably in your situation, a little bit different than mine, is that you went to school with children that weren't brought up in your household. Is that your truth? So I think that's where you developed that what you had wasn't what you thought love was. Because for me, we all grew up together. Mm-hmm. So we all kind of got the same treatment. Only difference was the direct mother. But when we went to school, it wasn't like, oh, you can talk about something that was so different than everybody else that, you know, so you got some gifts that other people didn't get. It wasn't that type of situation. So to realize that that wasn't what you wanted for life, it was something I would have learned later. Mm-hmm. And I think you probably picked that up a little bit earlier because of your dealings with other people. And I don't know that I think that your daddy don't love you. I would never say that because I'm sure he feels.
Oh no, I know he loves me, but it was just that he showed me love differently. For like, okay, for instance, with Chelsea, everybody seems to have a soft heart with Chelsea. I don't know because her name is Chelsea, or she just probably.
Look at that look. That's why right there. Do it again, Chelsea.
Sheba, between those two, she's a good sister and Brianna's a bad sister.
What you say?
I said between both of them, Chelsea is a good sister and Brianna is the bad sister. Like
she's the good daughter, I'm the bad daughter.
No, like you'll be the one to do something more outlandish before your sister would.
That's true. No, she'll hide it.
She was sneaky.
Yeah. So there will be more softer on Chelsea versus on me. They would just unleash it all. And I used to be like, well, damn. Why you treating the queen like this? You know?
Right.
No, seriously, I would say that. Why you treating the queen like this? Because I am the queen of the house. Queen B. And after B is a C. So I don't know why they would just be so mean to me.
You try to call me a servant?
No, she's calling you Chelsea because she's Queen Brianna.
Yeah.
And you came after the C. Someone says, now this was amazing that someone just popped this up. Say, who is younger? And
Wait, let's look at the camera. Who do you think is younger?
Well, I know who's younger. Lonnie, which one of them you think is younger? I'm gonna let her answer before we answer it to her. Okay. The reason why I asked you that is because I think that's when you develop your thought of what you didn't realize was love. She said she can't tell. Oh, that's amazing. That's because you guys are both beautiful. Oh,
he's old. I'm just like, I'm older. I'm 4 years older.
She thinks Chelsea.
Yeah,
she thinks Chelsea is younger.
Oh wow, I am.
Yeah, you are the youngest one. And I think because it's kind of a little off topic, right? But it's comparable to what I'm getting ready to say to you. Mm-hmm. When I married my husband, I'm one of those parents. I think chastising children are very vital. I do. Because I think it teaches them who's in charge, right? But I don't think abuse is okay in my book. If you beat my children with something that I don't beat them with, you're abusing them. So don't hit them with that shit. Like I'm like that. Don't bruise them. Don't make them bleed. Don't leave whelps on them. Don't do them like that. You know what I mean? So I always just assumed that because my husband's popped my sons, that he was just being a father. He was being the man until his son started coming around.
Man, he wouldn't pop his son.
Fuck no. And I told his ass, don't fucking touch my son no damn more.
So I know what you're getting at now, Bathsheba. You're saying that now, what you're saying that is that she didn't get to understand what love was until her little sister came and she's like, you don't love me like that. You love her differently.
Correct. That's exactly what I'm saying. Oh, wow. And I think that you might have seen something almost like a favoritism. Mm-hmm. And that's what made you rebel. So sometimes we're doing things and things are happening, but we don't realize why. Because you didn't know why. Where did that come from? You would never have known that it wasn't love until you seen something different. Mm-hmm. And he didn't realize that he was probably doing it because you were acting out of frustration. You didn't know how to tell it. Because you was the rebellious child. You weren't rebelling. You were acting out. When people always, just like Sharissa, you hate your daddy, you don't hate him. What happened? Right. Because only a person you love can hurt you.
Yeah.
That's true. If you don't like that bitch, they can't hurt you.
It don't mean nothing to you. It doesn't. It's just, if they don't mean nothing to you, it's like, okay, and why do you have an input? I don't care. I don't know you.
Right. Yeah. So maybe you need to go back in yourself, because I think you call it tough love because that's what you think that was you telling yourself that's what your daddy was showing you. I think that was your coping mechanism. I don't think you ever really thought that he was tough loving you. That was the way you cope with it because you was his child. You should think about that. Because sometimes as we think about things, we begin to realize why we do other things the way we do other things. You know what I mean? Like people say, I don't like to be wrong. I have no problem being wrong. As a matter of fact, I would much prefer to be wrong in a lot of situations. But I'm just most commonly not wrong. I'm not always right. But I'm not
9.9%. I'll be right, but 1%. Even if I'm wrong, baby, I was right. Because somewhere down the road, you should have listened to me.
Yeah. But my Abba would always say, if you wrong, be wrong. Mm-hmm. But if they can't prove you wrong, they can't be right. That's just it. It's the way it goes. Now we both might be wrong. What? But you definitely ain't right. You know? So that's where the shit go. So it's like those are the things that we learn and how we learn to cope with them. But sometimes I think with my Abba dying from I'm 12, it has had a toll on me. Because what I saw him and my mother share. And my dad had 7 wives. My mama was the second of the 7. Okay? He has 17 of us, and he loved us all. He loved all his children, he just loved us. But we all knew he loved us. It was the way that he showed us that he loved us. And I think he learned to love something different about each of us that made the love that he had for us special. Because me and my sisters always say that I'm the one he loved more. I don't know what they're talking about because I know I was his favorite. You understand that?
Mhm.
Now, how do we all get to say that unless he loves something different about us? He probably saw a lot of himself in you, Brianna. And he might have wanted to change that, but he might never have known how to say it because people have a hard time saying, you know what, I'm fucked up. People do. You just don't know how to say it. And I was fucked up all the while. You know what I mean? So if in your look back to your life, what can you take from the look back in your childhood, either of you, that you could make a positive reflection on your lifestyle today? Because in my ideology, I think that adults are always reliving their childhood.
Yeah.
I don't think that we're creating a new life as adults. And I might be wrong, but that's just how I deeply feel. I had a conversation with someone about it today. We're always replaying the bullshit that happened in our lives when we were kids.
And
Because
blaming that.
Say it again.
Why
You're breaking up. Start over.
and blaming that.
Say it again.
No. I said, like, we use a lot of our past to blame it on the way we act now. You know, as what is it called? Like as
A crutch.
Yeah, like a crutch, like an excuse. I can act like a bitch because I went through this. Oh, I can act snobby because I didn't, you know. So yeah, you're right.
Right. But I think it has an effect, and I think the negative effects people don't tend to want to look at. They just think they are just who they are, but you're never just who you are, but it came as a result of something else.
Yeah, you're so right, Shiba.
Yes.
Because I feel like the reason why I'm so assertive, I'm so like tough on the outside was because in middle school I was like badly bullied. So I told myself after that incident, I will never let somebody else talk to me crazy or do the things that they did to me in middle school because of the result of me being bullied every day in middle school. I became a complete fucking bitch and nobody can try me no more. Period.
And that's very sad because I was a bully.
And you know what's sad? That I saw the bully the other day and I wanted to beat my ass. I didn't even hear what he said.
But I can laugh at it now. Like, Pippi's like, I'm gonna kill you ass. And like, okay, then bitch, kill me. You wanna kill me? Like,
what did you say? Because when you were talking, like,
yeah, we didn't hear you. We didn't hear you.
I don't feel
y'all didn't hear me.
I said now.
I heard.
No,
you.
now that she said that about being bullied, like back in the day.
Dang, you breaking up.
What I say?
Let's have fucked up internet connection, good.
Not being mean though. It's nice.
Yeah. We didn't hear anything you
like
said.
Me being.
We can't hear nothing.
I said like. That's God's way of saying don't say.
We can't hear y'all.
We can't, y'all laughing. Y'all got y'all own stuff going on because we can't hear nothing y'all saying.
No, because I'm talking, but it's like it keeps cutting it out.
Yeah. Start over. Say it again.
No, because she was saying that she was bullied back in the day.
Right.
And that's why she's like a bitch now. I was saying I was the bully back in the day.
Oh.
You know?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was one who used to bully people. And I like even my sister, like, you know, and I don't feel bad for it.
Every day.
If that makes sense. You call me
You was
fat,
jealous
black,
of
and
her.
ugly.
I ain't call you.
That's really sad because people don't understand that when they do shit like that, they alter people's life.
Yeah.
We make you better.
Well, if
I'm being serious though. It's like, okay, if I never bully, okay, for instance, right? If you see a roach and a roach running in circles, and you like, God damn, roach, why you keep running in circles? Run straight, bitch, run straight. The roach gonna learn how to run straight, fast and real motherfucking fast, right? And the roach gonna say me 10 years later and say, if it wasn't for that dumbass girl who kept saying, goddamn roach, stop running in circles.
No, but I feel like with bullying, that makes a person very like self-conscious, and everything they do, like they have to seek validation because they don't feel as though they're, you know what I'm saying? They don't feel as though they're, because I was bullied every day by my sister, so you don't feel as though you're good enough.
Okay.
You're good enough because you feel like I got to see validation, because when I was feeling good enough, when I was feeling myself, I was being told and I was being informed that you're not good enough, you're not pretty, you're too fat, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know,
Never did it to you.
I was fat and she made me, I lost all my weight in 3 months because she told me every day, she'd wake up and tell me you're fat, black, and ugly every day.
I did not say
And
that
I
to you,
went to
though.
my best friend's house over the summer and
Wow.
I only ate carrots and salad for 3 months and lost all my weight. And ever since then, like I always feel like, oh, I'm still too skinny. I'm still too fat. Like even though I was skinny, I was like real skinny. I'm still too, you know, I never felt enough because I always have to seek now validation. Like, okay, you know, I don't know.
Yeah, y'all can't even see right now, but
That's
this
still
girl is
bad.
thicker than a Snicker. Like Sheba, no, we all work together. Me, Sheba, and Chelsea work together. She is thicker than a Snicker, and she'll still be in my face talking about ground fat, and I'll be like, "Girl, shut up! You are not
She's
fat."
so pretty. So pretty. Do you think so? That's a good point to pull up. How
Yeah.
do you think going to your father about that would have changed it?
About telling her what? About what? Can you repeat your
How
question?
do you think if you were able to talk to your father about that, do you think it would have changed it? Or did you talk
did.
to your dad about it?
I did. He used to beat her like a slave, and she still did it. It didn't change her.
Well, you know what? Okay, to each its own. I was bullied too.
Your daddy bullied you though.
Grab the tissue, please.
Your daddy bullied you.
Yes, he did. But
No, you was not.
I still turned out the best goddamn child that he's ever had came from that damn nutsack of his. Because if he didn't bully me, I don't know where I would be. Not funny. And I'm happy. You know what? All jokes aside, I'm really happy. Okay, my dad did show us tough love, but as young women, like, I'm gonna give y'all a story.
Okay.
My first time sleeping out when I was 21. 21 years old, because I was never allowed to go to the club. I was never allowed to do nothing. All I could go was church. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, and Sunday.
But you gotta tell them your dad too. The dad is a pastor.
Yes.
Okay, that explains.
Yeah. So like with my older sister now, like, you know, where she was allowed to do, no, she wasn't allowed because she was rebellious as well. But, you know, she was more of like the party one, the wild one. So he would like try and shield us away from the world, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So he could try to right the wrongs in her and us. So like I started working earlier. Like I started working when I was 16 and never stopped working. You know, you have to work for your own. He used to like tell us, if someone can't provide for you, don't be with them. You know, like it's not bad stuff he taught us, but it's just like I wonder if he would have taught me how to love a little more gently. I probably would have been the perfect person.
Mm-hmm.
But being that he did, I'm still gonna be a bully.
So do you think that you will never be what you didn't get from your father?
No, because I work on myself every day to try and, you know, fix the wrongs in me. And I was bullying probably other people, not because
something was missing. Something was definitely missing in you. That's why you try to project that onto somebody else. And I feel like all the bullies, they got something fucked up in their head. That's why they want to bully a bitch.
but sometimes they be speaking the truth. It's not like they just be calling out crazy.
For you,
She's not funny. She needs help. She
No,
needs
for real
help.
though. Like if you being bullied, it's about something. Look at the shade room comments. That people be talking the goddamn truth, and I just be laughing like because it be true. And people don't like the truth. That's the problem. That's the problem with society.
The truth hurts. The truth hurts.
It does. Like
it does hurt. And I think sometimes people don't know how to give it. Because some people because they've been abused, they don't know how to give it. And you have to be careful because sometimes we should be careful with other people. Yeah. And I think when we lose that in life. My sisters were mean to me when we were kids. And believe it or not, they didn't say a lot of that stuff they said to me, but they did.
Like Chelsea.
Yeah. But we had a family, a little family powwow. And their mother said, what did she say? She said, yeah, I said those things about you. But now that I'm an adult, I know that my sisters were only saying to me what their mothers were saying, that mother was saying to them. Mm-hmm. But as a child, I would never have known because they would never have been able to convey it. They were only going by what they heard. Mm-hmm. And those are the moments that my Abba probably just wasn't really present. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So a lot of that was the situation. You were saying something, Risa, and someone said to let you finish speaking. Finish what you were saying.
I don't remember. Somebody please tell me what I was saying. I don't remember.
About bullies.
Yeah, how bullies affect people's lives.
Yeah, it affects people's lives negatively because for me, for a long time, I was like, damn, I used to think to myself, like, what did I do? Because I was very quiet. I didn't mess with nobody. I didn't talk to nobody. I just stood to myself all the time. And like one day out of the blue, the whole bus stop ganged up on me and they were trying to throw, like, when I say boulders, like boulders at my head. Huh?
What's a boulder?
Like a big rock?
Like a big rock.
Yeah. Why you laughing?
That was horrible. I'm not laughing at you. It just was kind of funny.
And my sister is a very quiet, reserved kind of person. She's never been in a fight before. She doesn't like confrontation, but if it get there, she gonna get there. So I remember one time they followed me all the way home from the bus stop and they were like just picking at me for no reason. And my sister came outside and was like screaming. Like at that point, I want to say I was probably like 12. I never saw my sister go off like that before. My sister went the fuck off and was like, leave my motherfucking sister alone. Like was cursing and everything. And my sister, like if anybody knew her, she didn't really curse. She didn't really, she's not like, she's like the opposite of me. So to see my sister act like that, it had to have been something really extreme that they was doing. And it was like all the time for no reason. And I was so sick of it. It made me feel like I wanted to kill them people, like literally kill them people.
Right.
But I was saying about the bullies, when people are bullying you like that, they have something fucked up going on with them too.
Correct.
I found out that the ringleader of the girl who was bullying me, she was being molested at home by her, I don't know, her stepfather or something like that. So I guess that was her way of getting away from that molestation and hurt and pain, was to put that pain on somebody else. She doesn't feel as much.
Right.
Which doesn't make it right, but
it makes it understandable.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I understand. As an adult now, I understand. But when I saw her a few years ago, I wanted to take her fucking head off. But I had to think to myself, Sharita, you gonna keep your job or you gonna beat this bitch ass? You make the decision. So I was like, you know what? My mom
I'm gonna
will
keep my job.
so I'm just chill. I might catch that bitch on the street some other time. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying?
You know,
Sick.
you know what's funny? Because I told my oh God. I told my husband he was a fucking idiot years ago.
Oh my
He had
God.
been about 28, right? Easy. 28. I was 25, 26. He might have been 29. That's how long ago it was. So the fool, we driving up Davie Boulevard, and the guy who punched him in his eye and took his bite when he was 14, he saw the man. Now we all adults now.
And he ain't gonna never forget. Just like I
Wait
never
a minute. Gary pulled the car over, say, "What's up, nigga?
what's up?
You remember me, dog?" I was
Yeah,
like,
you remember me? I got you. I ain't gonna never
I
forget
was
that.
like, Gary. He said, "I'm gonna put that nigga on his back." I was like, Gary, listen. If you get out this car, this one, I'm leaving you. You're gonna be out by your fucking self. I ain't helping. Nothing. So he just reminds me how stupid he is. So yeah, that's stupid. Get over it. Damn stupid stuff.
Oh, when I will get that bitch. Just like how you be saying, I'm gonna get her. I'm gonna get that bitch. I'm gonna get her.
You ain't gonna never live it down.
Get you. I'm gonna
Let
get
me
you.
ask you a question. Do you think, back to the daddies, do you think when those things were happening, were those moments that you wish you had your daddy most?
Yeah. I would have loved for my dad to tell me, because my mom, I love my mom. My mom is the type of person, like, I remember I was going to BA. I'm gonna just tell y'all a little story right fast.
Mm-hmm.
And it was this fat bitch. She looked like a girl version of Biggie Smalls. I think she was.
Okay, bully.
I was skinny. I was, good looking, and I never used to mess with nobody. She used to like find every reason to fuck with me, pull my hair in the lunch line, like.
This is in high school, Sharissa?
Yeah, BA.
So you let somebody pull your hair in high school? Okay,
I was in a ninth grade, and okay, when I was
she
in
was
middle
calmer.
School, middle. Yeah, I wasn't as hype yet, but I was in the bare middle, and when you in middle school, everybody always talk about, yeah, what school you finna go to. I was thinking, yeah, man, I'm finna be going to Plantation High School, bitch. No. When they told me my district was BA, I was balling. I was like, yo, I cannot go to BA. Bitch, you're going to rape me in the bathroom. They're going to do this. They're going to do that. Like, that's the perception that BA had. In the street. Yeah. So my mom had this really good friend that used to be like my grandmother. And she talked to me. She was like, you don't have to worry about that. Just go to school and do what you're supposed to do, blah, 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 blah. So, and I tried to be a good girl, going to school, do what I was supposed to do. But the girl kept with me, and I'm like, damn, what? So my mom came to school and came to the office, and they called the girl down. My mom went the fuck off, and that bitch ain't never fuck with me ever again. But those are the times that my dad could have, because growing up, when I was a little girl, my father, like, was I won't say my favorite, but I used to get away more with my father than I did with my mom. My mom was like the more stern one. And my father used to be like, leave her alone, let her do what she want to do type of shit. So I guess you could say he kind of spoiled me at that time. And I used to always want to be around him. Whenever he used to go, I remember I probably was like 4 years old. Used to be driving, and then I'd be on his lap steering the steering wheel, like on the railroad, like that type of shit. So yeah, I feel like if my father was around to kind of give me validation at that time, I wouldn't have took it as hard. Plus, I didn't really tell my mom neither. I just kind of like dealt with it my own way.
Right.
The only time I started telling my mom about shit was like in high school. Like it was a whole bunch of people kept messing with me in high school, and I'd be like, "Mom, I'm about to. If I go to jail, just know that it wasn't my fault this time. The bitch tried me. You feel me? And
Right.
then I kind of like give my mom a heads up about the situation, but it was never anything that I created or deserved. I want to say it was just people being fucking idiots. Kids like to show their ass and act like whatever. But yeah, that was some crazy stuff.
So let me see how to put this. Oh, I want to put this up for you guys too, because somebody said maybe y'all dad raised up tough, so that's why he showed. That's all he knows. So generational curses are real.
That's what
And
I
I thought,
said.
yeah, I thought that was a very vital thing. But I think sometimes, well, I think hurt people do tend to hurt people because that's all they kind of really understand.
Mhm.
And that's the only thing that kind of really makes sense to them is, and we develop it's a coping that you're trying to figure out the reason why. So the only thing we could put as to the why is the fact that they must have gone through something. I think me and Sharissa was talking a little bit earlier that a lot of times when we have, you guys' father wasn't absent, but a lot of women who have daddy issues have daddy issues because the father was absent.
Mhm.
And a lot of times, because as women, we have children from men we really don't know, and we haven't really properly vetted before we give babies.
Mhm.
We tend to not be able to suppress that pain for our children by giving them a reason why, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people are subjected to it. And I do feel like I had some daddy issues, but they weren't because he did anything to me. And it wasn't because there was just some obscene amount of pain. It was simply because that, like, you missed your dad sitting on his lap, taking you on the go-kart riding. I had those same experiences with my dad. The only difference is when he was gone, there was no getting him back.
Yeah.
Like there was nothing that I could do to get him back. So you begin to cope with it and deal with it and start to make your own reasoning why things are the way they are. Because when we're children, we think like children. We behave like children. We act like children because that's all you know to be. And a lot of times as we get older, we realize that some of those things that we were thinking probably wasn't real. And that's only if you're lucky enough to have any other influences. And again, I think that having an absent father who probably wasn't any good is going to always trump a father who was there that hurt us most. Like, I wish that more women were like being open. And so all the listeners out there, it'll be good if you could just give us an experience of yours if your father wasn't there or that he was there in the experience of him hurting you. Because a lot of times people are just dealing with things based on the feeling that they got from something else. And a lot of fathers really do leave that. A lot of women don't really know how to handle a lot of those problems that they get from these men. A lot of us, because we never had our fathers in our homes anyway, especially as people of melanin, we did tend not to have it. I don't know so much as the islanders, but I know a lot of us Americans have a lot of those issues where the people we just only was raised by one. And then we get in a relationship with a man who was only raised by his mother because his father wasn't absent. And now we become the product of a man or having children with a man who probably is never going to be there for our children because he was never developed masculine anyway. He was only developed emotionally, so he got a lot of bitch ways about it. So now you having children with him or you're in a relationship with him, and now y'all both fucked up because you had daddy issues too. You know what I mean? And we do take those things into our relationship. I mean, you guys, I think I heard a couple of you say that you have trust issues. Knowing that you have trust issues, what do you think they stem from the most? Do you think it was because your father was absent that's where it stemmed from? The most, like in your thought process, if you had a moment to think back, that's the first time you realized you couldn't trust a mate. a boyfriend, a husband, whatever he might be, right? Do you think it came from that absence or that problem that you had with your dad? Did you refer it back to that moment?
You have to
I
go
knew I
first.
couldn't.
One at a time. Say it again. Go, Bria.
Um, my trust issues probably started, I want to say, probably with my mom.
Interesting. Explain.
This may sound very selfish, but like when she would say she was gonna get me something and she didn't get it for me,
Oh my
that's
God.
trust.
What the fuck?
Why are you guys laughing? That's real. Like if you're gonna say something, you better do it. Like don't lie to me. That's trust, and that's when my trust fucked up.
I'm done.
I'm being real, Bria. Are you serious?
I'm so serious. What do
You
you
sound like
mean? Like if I tell my mom, like my mom said, Brianna, I'm gonna get you this doll. And I have my heart set on that doll, and you don't get it for me. Bitch, where's the love? Where's the trust? Like I can't trust you no more. So I don't trust what people say.
So what about your dad? Did your dad ever try to
Oh,
go
my
get
dad
your
was a man
daughter?
of his
Your mama
word.
never
He was
did?
a man of his word. He said he gonna beat me. I'm gonna get that beat.
Oh my
He said
God.
he was a man of his word. You know,
This girl's a fool, yo. You a fool,
I'm
bro.
not playing. I'm like you now. One time I was being bad. I guess I was being rude to my mom, and my dad was in New York. And he told me he was gonna beat me. That didn't came down a year later. I got beaten that day. Never forget.
That's like, well, let me. Anyways, let me. I have
Girl's a fool. She a fool. A real time fool.
I have okay. I'll say my experience. My dad was a my dad was a ladies' man,
Right.
you know, and I, a lot of times, like I told you, my dad was my best friend at the time. So a lot of times, when my mom used to accuse my dad of things, I never used to believe it because I was like my best friend. You know what I'm saying? I can go to my dad about everything. And when I actually seen the actual like things that she said, like really be what it was, like that hurt me and damaged me. Like a man can do that to my mom. You know what I'm saying? A man that loves a person, then what makes me think that another man on the street will do it to me? So before I can go ahead and fall in love with a person or have them know anything about me, my guard is already up. And I feel like if I start liking a person or if I see somebody getting close to me, I push them away because I can't afford to let myself be vulnerable and open to be hurt like how I was hurt from my father.
Right.
That's my problem.
was hoping. I'm so happy you said that because I wanted to say that but I didn't know if you was ready and that. Thank you for letting that be. Thank you for opening that gate.
Let me pour a cup of this because I feel like it's got to be real.
Go ahead. I'm with Tammy. You a clown.
Right.
I think that was really a big girl thing to bring to the table, Chelsea. So let me say thank you very much. I think a lot of those problems happen with daddies, especially daddies who are present, because I think that we do tend to feel that the way that they treat our mothers are the way that we look to be treated. And like, although my daddy was a ladies' man too, I'm not sure Gomez. He said, what's up, Reese? Are you know Gomez, Reese?
Who?
Gomez.
Let me see. Hey, G-Mo. Yeah.
Okay. My dad was a ladies' man as well, but we come up in a culture that made that somewhat okay, I'd say. The people around wasn't always acceptable. So what it did is it had a big hurt in the children. it caused a lot of division within his family. And I think if he had to do again, he may have done it a little differently, only because of the way that he loved us all and he wanted more for us, if that makes sense. So I think a lot of the distrust that a lot of women have is because of the hurt that they see their father cause to their mother. And like I'm sure you guys all know by now, I'm a poet, and I have a piece called Family, Extended Families, and that's what it's about. It's about how men don't think over the things that they do before they do them, and how much they do have an issue and a bearing on their families. And for you to not trust because of what happened, and the bigger part of that being an issue, or a bigger part of that, not an issue, for me is you said, I don't know if it was you or your sister, but one of you said that your dad and your mom didn't come with a loving family, like certain things, like you didn't probably see them kissing on each other every 2 seconds, and him
It was
picking
just
up.
very hot and cold, and that's why I'm the way I am now.
Right. But if that's what the way that they were, how was it so hurtful for him to defame her if you already assumed that they weren't a loving couple? Unless that's something that maybe you wanted. You want to expound on that a little bit?
Huh?
Chelsea,
Can you repeat your question?
Yeah.
if you've already determined that your parents weren't a loving couple, I think that's because that's what we see. We like fairy tales, right? If you had determined already that they weren't a loving couple, how was it that you were so hurt when he defamed her? There was something that caused you to feel hurt when he did what he did to her.
That's a good one. I feel like because it was more of like, yeah, you guys weren't loving all the time, and you guys were like on like the love wasn't like, it was there, but it wasn't like more of expression. Like they weren't really expressing, like, I feel like it was more hurtful because it's like I had a very high standard for him. Like going back to I was saying, that's my father, yeah, but like you have a relationship with your father, like relationship, like you build like a you trust him. Like I can talk to him more than I can talk to my mom at given times. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And I held my dad at a very high, like a high pedestal. Like he wouldn't do that. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, they weren't lovey-dovey, but my mom and my dad are like, for me, they were like a solid pack. You know what I'm saying?
Like teamwork.
Like teamwork. So for him to do that and let an outsider in, it's more like, that's like, you know what I'm saying? And then it was a whole turmoil behind the whole story, but just that beginning part made me feel like, wow, like if you can do this to my mom, y'all been together for this long and she's been writing for you, you guys had your stories. Well, what makes me at the time feel like I can get a love that Amir won't do that to me. So that made my whole aspect of love and everything just like,
Do you think it was something he felt like he needed, that he was lacking? And the reason why I'm asking you that is I'm gonna go a little under the radar for you guys. When I did a study about marriage, I learned that a wife is nothing more than a contracted help. Okay. So a little bit further back in history, because I think as time goes on, we tend to forget, or people put such a blanket over the way things were till it kind of loses its truth. So we connotatively become involved in denotative situations. So a wife, just like a marriage, is but a contract. It's nothing more than just that. In spite of all the people that go to church, and I apologize, it's not to to hurt anyone's feelings or to become blasphemous of anyone's belief, because that's not my goal. It's just the solid foundation of truth. When you go to the derivative of the word marriage, you'll find it's nothing more than a contract. When you go into the derivative of the word wife, you'll find out that it's nothing more than a hired person to take care of the man's home. That's what a wife's job is. So I think somewhere in time we fucked up our positions as women, because the wife takes care of the house. That's what he hires her for. He don't pay her any money because he contracted with her. That's why when he dies, he gives her everything. because she worked for him for free all the lives. Now the mistress is the woman who takes care of the man. That's her job. That's her job. Which means that's where the word Mrs. comes from, MRS. So we mixed them, and somewhere in history where people wanted to marry for love, but that wasn't the situation. So now we have all these men who, for the most part, have affairs. That's what they do. And nobody ever really has the answers for it. Because in history, that's what they did. You got a woman, you married her, she took care of your house and your affairs, and then you had a woman who took care of you, the man. So any children that was made, he brought to their wife to take care of all of that. That was her job. I hate to say it like that, but it is what it is. So it's nothing more than a business, which is how a lot of people do treat it. But then because we see what we consider to be fairy tales, we tend to think that in a marriage, that's what it's supposed to look like a love couple. And it's not always true because everybody don't couple what they love. So yeah, he might have wronged her because maybe neither one of them really knew what they were really kind of getting themselves into. And we look at the fairy tale because that's the shit that they perpetuate on TV, and they program our thoughts to think what we think. That's what they do with all of it anyway. So we tend to think that love looks differently. So his job was what he did. Your mama did what she was supposed to have done. And I think that you may have looked for something more than what they probably really were. That's just like me giving like a full gist of what I feel about it. That's not to defame your mom. That's not to defame your dad. It's just to kind of give a reality to what the truth is. So you have no reason not to trust anybody. Because now you should go into your marriage or your situation knowing where your position is, knowing if you want to be his mistress too. So y'all could build that foundation based on what you really need, as opposed to what we think a wife or marriage really is.
I have a quick question. As we are watching this show right now, if there's a mistress in my mixes, we will be on Channel 7 News. Watching. What's that one show called? Snapped. Because I'm a snap a bitch. Nag if my man have a mistress. Okay? Period. Ain't no mistress right here because this one can do it all. You see, I got 10 different characteristics going on here. You hear me?
Right.
Yeah.
Give me another wig. I'm going to be curly suit today. And I can be Straightiana tomorrow. You know, see, he won't need nobody else. But I do think, to my defense, like Chelsea, there's an age difference here. So, like from the beginning, Gomez, you didn't hear what I just said? You quite like a mistress, sir. Your prayers are different days. So put that up. Let me read it again because I got a little some drinks in me now. Let me read it again, real slow this time.
Hey, that's Gabby brother, y'all.
Should be okay with a mistress. You didn't hear what she said? Let me read it again so you understand, Gomez. A wife should be okay with are you okay with your dick cut off? That's the question.
Whoa.
Okay, good. Good.
That's funny.
Okay, good. Great.
That was a good moment. Thank you, Gomez. We needed that softened moment. You know, so that's
you ask a crazy question, you'll get crazy responses. Okay. Sip to that one, Gomez. Wait, cheers.
But I want to go back a little bit because Tammy said something that I thought was really amazing, but we were kind of on a different side of the subject.
Mm-hmm.
She said, my dad was always in my life. However, I was jealous when he showed women more attention than me as a child.
I think that's very normal. I don't. That happens a lot. I mean, Chelsea, she's that type of girl.
Yeah, please tell a story of what you did.
What I do?
At church. Please tell a story. Please. This cannot go on without you telling that story, bro. Please.
It's actually a good story, but
it is.
You got to be ready. You got to be comfortable to tell it.
I don't like to go back in my past. That's something I'm not proud of. I wish I would. I never did that because I shouldn't have involved myself in growing people in business, but I did.
Business, yes, you're too low.
Shut your mouth, girl. I don't curse, you guys. So, anyways, I'm gonna tell it. Whatever. So, my dad had a situation, right? And this is the time I felt.
Was he entangled?
An entanglement.
He definitely was entangled.
I was gonna break the chain. Like Pastor Cole said, break every chain.
Oh, you sipping too? You got a good one.
It's just some cherry coke. It's just some cherry coke.
I got some Pepsi. We get us a good one. So, he's become famous for this story. But anyways, so once, like I stated before, I found out this truth. My dad's little entanglement going on. So
at that time we were still like, is it real? We don't know.
Yeah, like I didn't believe it.
So we was at a church car wash. Okay. This entangled lady came with some booty shorts to a church car wash. Okay, for some attention.
Okay.
So everybody was like, why is she dressed like that? Whatever. Everybody knew that she wanted my dad.
Okay.
Wait, she got him. Well, she had him. Let's say that.
You can't keep what ain't yours. Okay. Anyways, right? So,
love it. Keep going.
Yeah. So no disrespect. I went to the lady and I asked her. I first and foremost, my sister came. One thing about me is like when it comes to people I love, I go 100 for them. That's just me. Like when it comes to my mom, even though she was my best friend at the time, that's still my mama. I love her to death. But I go 100 for her. So when Brianna told me, she told me what was going on, because they told me last. They didn't tell me first what was going on. They told me last. Right? So I'm like, I don't believe it, right? Brianna said, she's outside, go ask her. I said, okay. You want me to go ask her? I go, okay, bet. Went outside. They didn't believe I was gonna do it. Went outside. I said, hello, I need to ask you a question. She turned, rolled her eyes and laughed and chuckled. That's one. I give you 3 times to disrespect me. It's number 1. I started talking to myself like, I know I heard her talking about, okay, Chelsea, we're not gonna do that today. We're gonna calm down. We're gonna do it again. I tapped her. I said, excuse me, I'm talking to you. And you know what I'm saying? She okay, so now 3 times. Now that's number 2. Now this is the 3rd time. You do it again, I'm gonna hit you. That's what I told her, right? And then I said, you want to hear me talking to you? She turned around. She did it again, so I just automatically punched her in her face. You know what I'm saying? We started fighting.
Mind you, this is a little girl fighting a grown behind woman.
I was like,
but you said something to her. What did you say to her before you hit
her? I don't remember. I know, like I wasn't there that time. I was just outside when I heard the commotion. I ran and we jumped her.
I don't
you
remember.
Confronted her about what you heard her. What?
Yeah.
You confronted her about what you heard happen between her and your dad.
Yeah, but she didn't really like from what I don't remember what I said, but I remember like she didn't even like
she brushed it off.
She didn't really say
what you were coming up to ask her about. So because you're a child, she automatically dismissed you like, bitch, go on about your business.
Yeah. She never liked us. Because I guess we're, like,
you're children.
Yeah.
Of the wife.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, that situation happened. And then like my dad banned me from church for like a month. And I love church. I was on the choir. I love church. I was so mad. I felt like he done put another woman in front of me.
It's not funny.
Yeah, so that really, 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 really put the nail on the freaking board.
Side note, I really didn't care if I was banned from church because I was gonna go anyways. Okay.
You the heathen.
Just peeping in the bag, in the side pew. Pew,
the window.
Right? Just walking about church going good. Yeah. But yeah, we were banned from church for a few weeks.
We did a lot.
Uh-huh.
You remember her
And
daughter? We did to her daughter.
listen, there's a lot of incriminating stories we're not gonna get into.
Yeah, we don't get too deep, but you got her that deep. But you were a kid then, though, so it's okay. It's inadmissible at this point.
Yeah, but I'm better now. I'm healed. I have no more hatred in my heart towards people.
No, let me tell you the last time the lady tried us. She tried to do a restraining order on me.
Both of us. And this girl almost got me in trouble with the law.
And the judge almost arrested me that day in court. Kind of told the judge about his goddamn self. And that was the last straw. So let's just say things ended on a lighter note.
all because your daddy and his entanglements.
And that's what the judge was saying too. Like, you know.
And I told Brianna, Brianna, he is so right. Like, why are we getting ourselves in
That's
legal
when we-
situations? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's when I had a wake up call. Like, what am I doing? Like, I'm not supposed. That's their business. That's their situation. And it used to stress me out. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't like to see my mom stressed out.
Mhm.
But you know, it's more like, why are we getting involved when we're the kids? You know what I'm saying? Like, we have to understand now is that he made a mistake and we can't judge him on his mistake. But then at the end of the day, I feel like it's a respect thing. I feel like if you're gonna do what you're gonna do, inform, you know, let everybody know what you're gonna do before you do it. Like, don't try to like that, you know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day,
find out.
yeah, don't make me look clueless like everybody else. Like, make it be, you know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, I feel like, you know, I should have stayed in the child's place.
Mhm.
I should have let them talk it out. You know what I'm saying? I should have never did that because that's not my character, and I don't want that to be my character. And I changed my ways from that. I still do the 3 countdown though. I still always stick to that. Always in life. Yeah. I give them 3 chances and that's it.
Right.
But yeah, you know.
Mhm. I think that's amazing. And I think it's amazing because I think that you guys went into protection for your mother.
We did.
And-
We surely did. We still
and I
do.
know that
period.
and I know that you probably should have stayed in a child's place, but on a bigger scale, I think you did the right thing. Because it was a fight she was too weak to fight anymore.
Yeah.
Don't ever for 2 seconds think she didn't know, because she knew.
Mm-hmm.
She might not have known about that person, but if you heard about it, your mama knew about it.
Yeah.
You better believe that. So I think that that's a lot of the issues that we have culturally. I think it's overall, because what our mothers go through affects her sons too,
Yeah.
but it also affects her daughters.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to go through the whole piece, but I'm going to share a piece of extended families down to that part, because when I wrote it based on another perspective. So that's why I called the piece Extended Families. But when you guys were sharing that story with me, it made it more clear that what I had developed in that piece was a reality for a lot of people. So that was that was an amazing moment that night when we all sat here for like till 4:30 in the morning, setting up this conversation before whatever comes to life. And so I want to thank y'all again. I want to thank y'all for being on tonight, and I also want to thank y'all for your freedom, your ability to be open and kind of transparent, because that's a hard thing for a lot of people. And even in my own family, it's something that people tend to not want to talk about when it's not even our problems. A lot of us are feuding over things in my own family that are not even our problems. You know what I mean? My Abba passed away almost 30 years ago. It'll be 30 years next year, November. And we still are at odds for some things that he left unironed out or erased with a trace. No, erased with a trace, meaning there's some information that you could see, but it's not clear. So you write it with the pencil real dark, but you erase it. You could see it, but it's not 100% clear. So everybody has their own perspective as to what they see, kind of like people do when they read the Bible.
Yeah.
They have their own perspective on it. So I'm going to share a little bit of the piece. So for those watching, it says, it's called Extended Family. It says, men don't usually consider what they're doing to the mother of their children, messing around with all these different women, thinking only from their perspectives, not realizing all the problems that he's gaining through the process of all the problems that he's leaving neglected, caring less about all involved being affected, building walls around these issues, telling himself that's what he wished to, just to keep from feeling stupid when he know his reasons made no sense and he's simply passing out excuses. But broken children usually don't have a voice to speak, assuming all the problems they watch their mother succumb to has made her weak. This is what has happened to our cultured brothers. Unable to love cultured women because he had to watch his father walk all over his mother, too afraid to pay patronage to his mother's pain, when he too becomes the same type of man who put that hurt in his mother's face. A self-hate is no escape, because a woman is still a woman no matter the skin upon her face. But you see what happens when we drink tears in front of our daughters. It teaches them resentment, because at the times they're the only ones we can turn to who won't judge us for our struggles, and the only souls who we can trust, who we know won't betray us. Only to become the same type of person. Through empathy, they protected all because the father was too self-indulged to realize all the feelings he was leaving unattended, all the issues he was leaving unattended, all the feelings he was leaving unprotected, and all the rules to the games that he so blatantly disrespected. So when you guys tell your story, that's what it brings me to. And like all of that might not be my reality, but sometimes I do write from perspectives of others. So to know that someone actually have that fight in them for a situation that only occurred to them as a child was relieving, because a lot of times our mothers care. Like, you realize that you're an adult, you were going to become an adult, you're building this a record for yourself almost for the sake of your mother's, her respect or whatever. But at the end of the day, she's already thought about that's why she didn't beat that bitch ass herself. So you guys really stood really strong for her. What you say, Risa?
What's so funny is I'm the same way. Like, if I see a man try my mom, that nigga forget. Most likely, my mom's gonna get upset with me because I'm gonna show him attitude.
Right.
Or he might get cussed out, depending on how severe the situation is.
Right.
But I don't let nobody in front of me disrespect my mom. Like,
right.
That's not what you're gonna do.
Right. So that's amazing. That's amazing. And thank y'all for those stories. So like we're getting down to like an hour and a half. So I want each of you to kind of give us some closing words so that the people watching could have that end of story kind of talk. So you can start. Well, for me, you guys are going left to right. Sharissa, Chelsea, and then Brianna. If you guys want to close that way, it'll be fine.
Okay.
So, closing, like saying what?
Just kind of give us some closing remarks as to how this type of situation has affected you, can affect people, and kind of what you would give, like your closing nuggets. What would you leave with anyone that was having the situation that you've come up with?
So, okay. In conclusion, I would like to say that I'm 32 years of age. I don't have any children. It's kind of because of what I've been through with my father. I always told myself that I don't want to make anybody else's mistake. So I would prefer to make sure I find the right person to have children with than my children have to go through what I've been through as a child and an adult without the father being present in their life. It's not a good feeling. It does not make you feel wanted. It makes you feel rejected. It makes you feel like you're not good enough. It makes you second guess yourself, like, damn, what did I do to deserve this? But if anybody else is experiencing this type of issue out there, I would say if your father is a receptive type of person, to try to have a conversation with him and see if you guys can, talk it out. But the type of man my father is, I doubt that'll ever happen. So I kind of just have to find in myself that I'm okay, even though I'm not okay with it. But yeah, and I want to say that I always tell my mom I don't want her to feel responsible for his actions, because she did pick the person that she picked. But like you said, she might not have known him as much as she know him now from his mistakes. So, I don't want her to feel like it's her fault, because it's not. She can't be responsible for his actions. You can only be responsible for your actions as first a man and a father. So that's all I have to say about that situation.
Okay, thank you so much, Teresa. What about you, Chelsea? What are your closing remarks for us tonight?
My closing is, that story I shared with my father, like, I feel like everybody has to, this is kind of off topic, but everybody has to go through their own path, like their own experiences in life. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like that experience definitely, it brought us all together as a family. You know what I'm saying? And it showed us that, yes, things happen in life. People make mistakes, but at the end of the day, that doesn't define a person. It's not always how you start a race, but it's how you finish it. It's how I feel. You know what I'm saying? But to end with conclusion here, I feel like with my situation, like that, I have to learn now that, in life, in the Bible, it says, I don't know people, but don't put trust in people and men, meaning that not to hold a guard up all the way, but know that, you can get hurt. It's a process in life. And you can't let what you've been through define you. You have to find your own path and pick yourself up and know that what you've been through in life is not who you are. Who you are determines on what path you choose to go through in life. And I feel like those experiences are just stripes on your back to make you stronger. And you're supposed to use that to drive you. So when you're down and when you feel like, I have nobody, you're supposed to know that, what you've been through in life, you got to keep pulling yourself up and knowing that no man defines you. Not what you've been through defines you. How you continue on the race is what is the end results.
Well said.
Very good.
Brianna.
Brianna
gonna say something.
No, on a serious note, this topic was very needed. We didn't get to go into depth like how we probably wanted to, but we did touch good pinpoints. And though everybody has daddy issues, sons, daughters, everybody, and you can't use that and reflect on it your whole life. You use that and you make a better person of yourself. You use that to a different situation. And, you have to just grasp what you've learned from that situation or whatever you thought brought you down, because it was you went through it to bring you up. You probably went through your father issues for tonight. Someone listening maybe went through the same thing, but that doesn't mean that you should keep letting that hurt dictate your future. So, and that's the same thing with me. Like, I'm happy the way the relationship me and my father have is. I'm his favorite child now.
So wrong.
Prize and the prized possession child of all 8 sperms that just swam out the nutsack, If I didn't go through that struggle with him or that tough love, I wouldn't be the person I am today. So me and my baby father, we're getting married. He doesn't know it yet.
Oh my God.
So he's telling me all the time I have daddy issues. But daddy.
Yo, you're not.
Yeah.
But like in relationships, it shows you different aspects of yourself and what you've been through and stuff like that. So, everybody just take what you can and use it into your own life, your own, It's always good to find your daddy just because you know more depth into yourself as well. So I know you would go ahead, Miss Queen Sheba. Top it off, baby.
Thank you guys really, really a whole lot, because Talk Tuesdays can't go on unless we have a panel to go on with. So I want to thank you guys very much for coming on this evening. It just was like a refresher of that evening we spent together to talk about these very same issues. And I think that there's nothing in life can be experienced unless you learn from it. And love is one of those things that you can only get enough of if you've gone through pain. And I know that might sound crazy. We're running back and plug that. I know that might sound crazy to a lot of people, but only love can allow you to love someone enough for them to hurt you. Because you will only keep forgiving to allow for someone to keep hurting you. And it's not until you stop maybe loving them with that depth that you will stop giving them that ability to hurt you in the place where you actually can have a problem with something that they've done. It's okay for us to cry tears because tears are that moment of us calming down. It's okay for us to cry tears because tears let us know that something actually really did affect us. Because as long as we keep it bottled in and we're walking around with the tough shoulders and we're walking around mad at the world, we can't fix anything. We're never going to be better. And I don't know if everybody's goal is to be better, and it's okay if it's not. But the goal in life is to be able to see that something actually did have an effect. For all you fathers out there who have daughters and sons whose lives you're not in, you are very, very big effect to them. And even the mothers, because which would be another topic at another time, that there's more deadbeat mothers than there are fathers. 7% statistically.
Wow.
There's a lot more of us. And I think a lot of it does come from that disconnect and that pain of people having uncertainties of not knowing where they belong in life and where they belong with people. So I hope that this Talk Tuesday kind of got some thoughts rolling in your head. And if it didn't, I hope at some point throughout the next days or so that you can go back and reflect on something that we came to the table with this evening. If you're having any of these problems and you want to come to Talk Tuesdays, please inbox me. Bathsheba Israel is my personal page, and the Happy Bug Enterprises is my business page. You can send me a message on either one. I thank you guys very much for watching. I thank you ladies very much for being here with us. So this is another Talk Tuesday going down in the books, and the Happy Bug signs off. Have a great rest of your evening.